Now, class, today we are going to learn something new. Who has any idea what a dispenser is?
Isn't that a boy's name?
It could be, I guess, but that's not today's lesson.
Oh, I know. My dad is reading a book by dispenser. I think his first name was Joe.
That's a great guess, but does anyone else have an idea?
Our cat's name is Spencer, and sometimes when we can't find him, we call, "Where is Dispenser?"
Those are all great guesses. But today, a dispenser is a container that releases only what's inside of it. The dispenser dispenses what it has. You all have examples in front of you. Now, one by one, you can uncover your dispenser and guess what it might dispense.
I guess mine is This is a shampoo dispenser, and it dispenses shampoo. Lotion. Yeah, lotion.
I wonder why you didn't get soup out of the container or cereal.
Because a dispenser can only dispense what's inside of it.
Let's continue with the rest of you.
Mine's a dish soap dispenser. I think it dispenses dish soap.
Mine's a hand soap dispenser, and I'm pretty sure it dispenses hand soap.
Mine is a shampoo dispenser, and it dispenses shampoo.
This is Cheese Whiz.
Well, children, today we are all dispensers too. What can we dispense?
Joy.
I can dispense peace.
Love. I can dispense kindness.
I can dispense hope.
That's wonderful. We can all be dispensers because that is who we are. Now, everyone sing along with us. Let's see. Words, please. Already a dispenser, clap your hands. If you're already a dispenser, clap your hands. If you have everything inside, just let Jesus be your guide. If you're already a dispenser, clap your hands. Straight from mouths of babes. Good job, class dispensers. You are now dismissed.
We'll do it now. Yeah, you can eat. Thanks. Thank you.
We like the conference here. Woohoo! All right. Well, I want to acknowledge somebody that she's almost like two people that does stuff.
Two or three,
Yeah. Maybe 4 or 5. To give you a little background, what I know and what many of you might not know, there's a certain person that's really special that, of course, you're all special, but this one's really special. And she does events and things for celebrities, warriors, patriots, for our country, wounded warriors. She works all during the week, goes on the weekends, travels. You would think, oh, she gets to travel with celebrities. No, she works, and she's a bodyguard, basically. And she's a female.
yeah.
And she would have been a really good soldier. And so she would have thrived in the military. I just see it. So anyway, she does all that. And then, on a personal note, she'll get a call because Sheila had her phone off. And, she's busy. She's got to turn her phone off sometimes, and she's busy, and couldn't get a hold of her when my son had passed, and next one I called was Teresa. And Teresa was at the house in no time, and she was there, and she calmed me, and I'm about to pass out. She's going, breathe, Chris, breathe. And I'm just freaking out.
She yelled at you, didn't she?
Huh?
She yelled at you?
Yeah, she probably did. I don't remember a whole lot. She probably did. She, just trying to get me to calm down. She said, you're going to pass out, Chris. You need to breathe. And, I was about to pass out. And she was there after she was probably coming in from work. I don't really remember. I just know that she was on the road, and she was at the house. And, of course, Sheila was there. And so she spent all that time, and she does things outside of here and organizes events within the church. And then these events we have, the awakes, she's behind the scenes doing stuff. And I when I think she's taking a break, she's probably on her phone doing emails and stuff, and got a laptop in front of her. She works her butt off. And so what I wanted to do was, first of all, just to give her something that just a little appreciation, a little thing, just that showing we love her. But the thing, this is what I feel is going to be hopefully more special to her. I don't know if she likes orchids. I asked her earlier if Sheila did. I was trying to play it off, but like it was for Sheila. But that's something, so whether the flowers fall off and it's just a stem or whatever, she'll be able to look at it and just know she's valued. No matter what, we love her and value her, and I look at her like a big sister. That's developed over time, and never had a big sister, and she's got my six. Anything happens, I know she'll be there for me, and it's a good feeling to have. So anyway, just wanted to thank her for everything she's done.
Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Okay. I guess the children are released. If you were here this weekend, let me see your hands. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to summarize a little bit of it. You guys can help me with some of that. First, really quick, we're going to go ahead and take an offering. Up here on the screen, you can give by text. We're online as well. Thank you guys for your giving. If you still give cash or check, go ahead and raise your hand. We have 10,000 envelopes we need to fill because people don't give by cash or check anymore. So we're like going, you can fill it with change, even write notes on it. Raise your hands really big so they see you. And if you want to give by text, it's 832-956-0150. I think they're gathering the things. Raise your hands again if you need that. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that. So went into what's being said. So how'd it go the last 2 weeks? I snuck out of town. I really didn't. I hardly told anybody. Right up here also, and then over here. Over here, Al is either he's still worshiping or he's bossing with his wave. I don't know. Over there. And there's two. He's coming for you. I snuck out of town, really didn't tell very many people, maybe like a few, my household. And then I thought I would be a little bit, get my fingers in stuff and get a little bit back in control because I thought it was the time change. Because for me it was, I was in Ireland. How many of you got the text last week to sleep in an extra hour? I'm like, get an extra hour of sleep? I'm like, what if they forget? No one's here, And then I had to apologize again through the database. There's 1,100 people, just so you know, that is in the database, so I had to apologize to them. Y'all good? Anybody else? Raise your hand really big. I got right off the plane. My plane was late when I landed in New York, and I'm running through the airport. Get to the next plane, but my luggage didn't make it, so it was a couple days later. Arrived at 5. Get out of the airport and stuff. Get here at 6:30, and then we started at 7. So we've just been rocking and rolling. I mean, I'm pretty good at sleeping on a plane. This morning when I woke up, because I get up, I try not to have coffee before 5. But I was wide awake at 3:30. And it's a time change, so that's 4:30 really, it's right. Is it 4:30 or I don't even know. As just so you know, as I was waking up to get coffee, Nathan was going to bed. So the speakers stayed at our house, and Roy and his son. What it usually looks like in my room, Teresa's in my closet. I have a really big closet. Teresa sleeps in the closet. All my girls were in my room last night, all of them, and all 100 dogs, and Joni. Yeah, Joni. Joni woke up because she's never slept in our bed with Alex and me. It's just me when she stays the night with Shishi. And she woke up, and she's 2, and she goes, at 4 in the morning, she's saying, "Excuse me, Mom, excuse me." And I'm like, what is she saying? She's trying to push Alex out of the bed. She was like, "You're not supposed to be here. Excuse me." I said, "What is she saying?" She goes, "She's trying to get me to leave." So it's been good. It's been good. I just have a steady word. I'd love any of you guys' input that were here this weekend, if you have something that you want to say. Last night we played during worship, some of the band guys, I don't even know if you saw it, Nathan, we played the scene from The Patriot whenever they, you guys, how many of you watched The Patriot with Mel Gibson? It would be a good one to watch today if you haven't. The scene where they start running. They're like, retreat, retreat, they're running back, and he's like, no. Mel Gibson stops what he's doing, he goes and grabs the flag and starts running, like, go forward. And then when people start seeing the flag come back up, they all turn, and that's the first battle that they won, and it shifted the war. And so during worship, we played that scene. Did any of you guys know it? You guys didn't even see it up there? We're like, you guys thought it was the anointing. We all were like, "Wah!" We were getting, it was. But the reason I played that is I keep seeing 1776. Dan Crenshaw is putting all this clothing out that says 1776. And of course, we know what that represented was the American Revolution, breaking free from tyranny, a government that was with tyranny. And I wrote down the definition of tyranny. It's unjust or oppressive governmental power. And that was 1776. And so Dan Crenshaw's just kind of pushing that. In fact, Teresa, I didn't know this while I was gone. Apparently, the president said something about Christmas. What did he say?
We're not having Christmas because of...
It might not be a good idea, like having gathering for Christmas because of COVID. Some statement like that. I don't know. I haven't been watching anything. And Dan Crenshaw, so he's throwing a huge Christmas party. The tickets are $25. They'll be probably... It's called Winter 1776. So while I'm gone, Teresa buys us tickets, and it's $25 if you want to Google it and do it. You think there'll be hundreds of people? Yeah, hundreds of people, and he's doing it in celebration of Christmas, right? In spite of government saying we don't think that it would be wise for you to gather at Christmas. So the reason that came up in me is what I feel that God said a couple days ago to me is that we are in a spiritual revolution. And I'm just kind of meditating on this because what's happening in the midst of not just our government, and it's not just government, it's people wanting to be released of the constructs that we've even created ourselves. There's a spiritual hunger like I've never known in the earth. And I'm not just saying people that are hungry to know Jesus. Okay, just spirituality. Okay? In fact, while we were over there worshiping, I could see beyond the horizon, which is beyond the horizon of your mind. But I could see like beyond the horizon, and then there's thousands of people that if we'll go into the Spirit, they're there waiting for us, and they're sons and daughters. And they're not going to see us if we're just preaching out of the constructs of religion, but in the Spirit. And then you guys know, how many of you guys know what I call my house? The Happy House. I live on Happy Lane. I was like, when we got the house, we drove past it. We had to move because the landlord wanted their house back. We were there for a year. I had a 3-year plan, and really one street over, it was Happy Lane. I was like, oh, that'd be a nice place to live, Happy Lane. There's only 7 houses on it. So when I drove down it, there was a house for sale. Darren was in Australia, and as it began to unfold, we now live on Happy Lane. In fact, to get there, you go Grant to Happy. And I knew that God was granting us happiness, And so as I'm seeing these thousands of people, in the spirit that are already moving into the spirit realm through different doors and some through Christ. And I began to welcome them into the happy house, which is God's house. And going into that space and be in a place where we could eat together and be family. Because people aren't looking for church. They're not going to go back to the constructs. And I don't know, can we put the lyrics of the song, We're Changing History, that song, the anthem, that's pretty old. I remember singing that 10 years ago. It means something a little different right now. But do you understand what you're saying when we're saying shake our nation? So keep going. Let's look at this really quick. This is the anthem of our generation. Here we are. Shake the nation. Keep going. The long one. Any more? And one more. I can hear a holy rumbling. I begun to preach another king, loosing chains and breaking down the walls. I want to hear the Father when he calls. One more. This is the anthem of our generation. Here we are, God, shake our nation. All we need is your love. You captivate me. And we're singing this, and you're singing it, and I know that you mean it, but that is the key. Yeah. The Spirit of God, or God is Spirit, and God is love. If we're really crying out to shake the nation, which is happening anyway, nations, to not just endure, but to overcome, to manifest Christ, we have to remain captivated by the Spirit of love. You can end that. I'm not playing. The constructs of this world are coming down. The systems that we've relied on. So when you're saying shake the nation, if the money crumbles tomorrow, where will we be? It's going to depend on if we're captivated by the love of God. But not feeling love for people and being benevolent. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a place in the Spirit. We're spirit beings. I'm talking about a place of being captivated and living. It got scary already, but it's going to keep shaking, and it's the goodness of God. And the constructs that we've relied on, not just externally, but in our mind, are coming down. It's the jealous passion of God. The word construct, I was going to throw it up there, but the word construct means to make or form by combining or arranging parts or elements to build, to set something in logical order. John Crowder was talking about those really, really sturdy, beautiful, heavy-made IKEA shelves that you put together with like little, foil screws or whatever. These constructs of what we've made is what we've built our life around. So even when we talk about tyranny or religion having a hold of people, it's not religion meaning the last church you were in. It's not religion meaning another denomination. It's the religion within us. It's the constructs within our mind. It's the poser that we thought was God's voice. I was thinking that, I heard this statement years ago, that it's the people that were in this move of God will end up persecuting oftentimes what's coming next. And I remember praying, God, help me, move on every time you move. Not because I don't just want to be a persecutor, but I want to move with God. But in order to move with God, you've got to allow what he told you yesterday to go. What he told you yesterday to go. I'm not talking to people that don't want to follow God, but sometimes the hardest people that can keep moving with the Spirit are those that have been so trained in what God told them to do yesterday. And that puts enough in me to go, we used to say we're raising up a generation to lead us. Why did he have so many unlearned fishermen? I mean, he had all walks of people that he was raised up, but a lot of those that were ready were just sinners, man. They didn't know anything. And then when he called Paul, who knew everything and was trained in it, he had to tear that down. And then he sent him to the Gentiles. It wasn't as useful as he thought. It was a construct to come down. So in this positioning of moving while things are being shaken, I feel, and it's not a fearful thing for those that are captivated and hearing the voice of God. We're captivated by the love of God. We're motivated by the Spirit of God. It's not a fearful thing at all, because we're not reaching for something that's temporal to stabilize us. But I do feel within the next 5 years, we're going to be in a whole different space in the earth. It was very interesting. I went to Ireland. I went to Dublin for 2 days and hung out with Laura. Laura's there teaching on Native American studies at a college there. She'll be back next month. Hi, Laura. She's listening. We went to Dublin and walked around, and that was really great. And then I went up to a monastery in Donegal, and which was kind of cool because when I read about the Begleys, which is Darren's it's my last name too, but it's not in my blood, and my girls, they're from Donegal. And it's this little bitty town up in Ireland. But even everywhere I went, I met a lot of people from different parts of the world. Is it Switzerland? What country just let COVID come and they didn't? It's not Switzerland. Sweden. Yeah, there's a lady there from Sweden. I'm like, you guys are freaking awesome. She's like, yeah, they just let it come, and it was like the cold. It hit their nation. They didn't shut down anything, and but it was so interesting. There was a friend from Poland and several people from the UK, and just talking. I talked to this one bus driver. I was alone in Dublin trying to find my way around. I had this huge luggage, and this guy asked if I wanted to get on the bus just to get out of the rain, because I was trying to find the right bus, And anyway, I get talking to him, and him and one other person, which was the maintenance man for all the buses. Okay, so he works for this. That's their bus system's it. Nobody has cars when they live in Dublin. Him and the maintenance man are the only two that didn't get the shot. And this isn't about vaccines. That's not my point, because I don't care if you get the shot or not. That's, you can hear God. But I'm all of a sudden I realize I'm talking to somebody that's going to go against the grain and go with what he's feeling. And we're in a country that over 90% of the people have gotten the shot. And so we get talking, and he starts telling me about all the stuff we're talking about over here, what's going on under the scenes, and all the networking and stuff. And it was just so interesting to hear from people that aren't under the American government that are saying the same things. One guy said, I'm going to say this with an accent so it won't be that offensive, but one Irish man said, I heard the F word more than but it sounded like Braveheart, so I kind of was like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, all right. But anyway, that's not what I'm going to say. So he said, and I just laughed at him. I didn't want to get in a conversation with this guy. He said, here in Ireland or whatever, he said, we feel that Trump and Biden are two sides of the same arse. Two cheeks is what he said. Two cheeks on the same arse. I was like, all right, okay, Right when he said it, I'm like, I'm repeating that one. That's really funny. But that's the constructs, isn't it? It just is going to swing back and forth. It's a level of energy. It's a level of living. It's not good or bad. It's good and bad. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil wasn't good or bad. It's good and bad, and it was connected to the temporary death realm. It's the carnal man that begins to build things and set things in order and then call them stable and then call them shelter, and God begins to pull them down because they were never meant to be your stability or your source or your shelter. It's very sobering in the midst of it, but it's really exciting. It's really exciting. And if you can hear, in positioning yourself, because fear will increase with people, and our light will get brighter and brighter. And people will want to come into the happy house. They want to come into God's house, which was always their home. And we're going to be ready, and we're not just this building, we're going to be ready in the spirit to love them and receive them. I'm going to do, after the first of the year, I'm going to do a mystical course. It'll be really intimate, but we're going to go through the Lord's Prayer. I'm excited about that one. I've learned in the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. And the first word for our Father is Avun. Avun. The word the sound in Aramaic is like infinite divine divinity. Abba. Just FYI, it never was Father. God is transgender. He transcends all gender. We won't title it that. Or you can. It literally is my parent. But men wrote it, and so they changed a lot of things in that. The divine parent. It's the cosmic birthing process. The sound. It's like when you blow a feather. The divine, infinite divine begins to movement. How do you become my Father? Movement. You picture a feather going forth. It's like the germinating process begins, the fruit, the life breath, the ray of light, the flow. The interior of God is becoming as he's making the form of man. That's Adam, the infinite God, Dom, in form, blood, ruddy, earth, Adam. It's movement. This is our Father. The sound, it's related to the Holy Spirit. It represents movement, and the is a vibration that the Father is settling and landing in form. As I'm just even beginning to take this course, and now I'm bringing in, I've finished the course part, but I'm bringing in I'm just studying all of it and getting ready, and it's changing me and frustrating the heck out of me. And then John Crowder said something that even frustrated me more, in the sense of, he said pretty much every Bible that you have, what is it, interpretation? What do you call it? Translation, is a commentary. It's that many symbols away. It's been through that many filters. So here's the deal. You ignorant fishermen, you have a one-up on us if you can move into the up. Because you're not trying to find it in the letter. You're not trying to build a structure. You remember the Catholic Church, they took the Bibles from people because you were too ignorant to learn it. And I know we got really angry about it, but these guys were being bound by the Bible when these guys were getting free in the presence of God. I'm not saying that the Logos word is good or bad. I'm telling you it's good and bad. Because it's caused more wars and bondage as much as it's caused people to love each other. It all came down to the intention or the interpretation of the reader. And man, I love communication. I love when Father communicates with us. And that's all the time. We decided he's a woman, just kidding. Jared said he talks all the time. I'm like a woman, I told you. When it came into Greek and Latin, the paradigm completely shifted because this language is to describe a noun, a pronoun, adjective. This describes this. How many of you guys loved English? You're an English major, and you have to get this right, and it points to this and your subject matter. And that's how it is in Greek and Latin and English. The categories, separation, symbols, they describe their like, but really they're parables. And a lot of it came from the conceptual mind that began to build the constructs. The concept is the idea of what something is. It's how it works. It's like the person that was in witchcraft that I think they were following Paul around. Is that right? Maybe Peter. And they're like, how do I get that to work? Give me the formula. We've lived most of our life like that. We come to God because, our marriage is broken. We come to God because we don't know what else to do because of our sickness. We come to God because of this, and give us something that works. Then when it doesn't work, we're so offended, we think we leave God, but we're really leaving the fact that we can't get the formula to work, and it's God's goodness you couldn't get the formula to work because he was always after you to know him by spirit. One thing I love is the word spirit is the same word as breath. You can't separate it. Spirit, breeze, breath, wind. It's the same word. We just chose to say Spirit. Just start reading by the Spirit and put breath in it every time. The life-giving breath. The reason we live and move. See, we even took spirit and flesh and made it conceptual and categorized it. I think it's really funny, and you guys have heard me say this, that we say, our language is Father, Son, Spirit, when they're all spirit. You know what I mean? And I know we're also describing the Trinity. I know all of that. But I know that our conceptual mind is we're trying to settle it. And I think I think God just thinks we're the cutest thing when we're trying to break down who God is to each other. Because God was always meant to be experienced. And the more we experience Him, the more we know who we are. Constructs. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 2. God nor creation is conceptual or constructed. Remember whenever the Spirit is fluid. It goes where it wants to. It does what it wants. It's the wind. You don't see where it's coming from. You don't see where it's going. You just sense it. That's what moved Jesus into the wilderness. That became the life force behind Him. Everything that He did, it said that He saw that Father did. What that meant is everything He did, it was by the Spirit. Everything. So there's a construct in front of Him. There's a physical, these buildings, these people, these ideas, these logical thinking, all of these things, all these things, and He was a part of none of them. He said, I brought a whole different kingdom. It's altogether different. It's unseen, and it's within you already. While we were worshiping, I just kind of was imagining, like underneath here, like I have bombs strapped to me. Like this power, this dunamis power, like, who's going to listen now? You know what I mean? Dynamite, not bombs. Bombs would probably be heavy. I don't know what that means. Did you put up what I say? 1 Corinthians 2, let's look at it. 2:14, if you're here. I'm going to act really natural. You tell me when it's up there. The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly. Oh, it's folly. They're foolish to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. Keep it up there, please. The natural is the sensual person. It's your lower nature. It's your senses. Listen. How many of you guys have done this? If it's God, I'll know. My heart starts racing. I can feel it in my senses. That's good. God does that for us. Isn't he sweet? But then he doesn't. And then you feel like you're seeing something, but you can't. That Jesus didn't walk around and was like, can you confirm that? I know because the natural person does not accept. That word not means never, can never. It's not possible. The word accept means welcome or receive. The sensual person, the part of us that's attached to what we see, feel, hear, taste, and touch, what we have created as real, what we've established as true, that person cannot accept the things of the Spirit. We'll never welcome the things of the Spirit. You know why? That person, me, us, you, anyone that's living from that space, you know why we won't welcome the things of the Spirit? Because it begins shaking everything. It's unknown. And the ego wants to keep the construct because the ego self, the I am ego, believes that they're safe in the construct. All right, let's break this down. Not safe in a building, safe in your belief system. Safe in your finances, safe with loved ones around you, safe because you got your doctrine right. You're in the group that has the right doctrine. You've been studying for years. You got this right. So you're safe. You feel safe. You feel secure in what you know. It's a construct. And then God brings you to this place of the unknown, and you're going to feel fear. One of the things when I went to, I've been doing things really fast on purpose. This last year, I wasn't single since I was 17, so there's part of me that's like a little 17-year-old kid. Just kidding. Just kidding. Not that part. So I'm in Dublin. Laura leaves, and I'm traveling by myself. And all of a sudden, you're aware. You guys all know Darren. I was married to him. The dude, when we first would go to the mall, he didn't go in the stores with me. He didn't mess with any of that. And I would never know where he is, and he would always know where I am. Always. It wouldn't even take faith if I was lost on the side of a mountain. It would not even take faith. He's coming for me. He's not going to stop till he does come for me. It's done. Right? So you live in that with that, most of my life. And then that's not there. And I'm excited in the process because you realize how much trust or whatever you put in that construct, what you can see, feel, hear, taste, and touch. And I want that level of trust and more in my husband, Jesus. And that even when this happened with Belinda, when Belinda transitioned, I knew if Darren was sleeping in my bed and I was going in there that I wouldn't feel what I was feeling to the degree that I was feeling it. Just the panic. Not the sadness with her, that's altogether different. The panic of what's going to happen with us after this many strikes to the heart. What's going to happen with this family. I would lean a little more on the construct. And so with it, whenever we discover these things, it really can be exciting when the shaking comes because you wanted it to go anyway because it's moving you more if you'll allow it. If you don't build another thing that you can rely on that's not Christ, if you'll allow that vulnerable place, if you'll allow to move you forward, you feel like you're, Lamise said this. We had a meeting yesterday before the service, and she said, it feels like we're floating out in space and there's nothing to grab. I feel the insurity in here. Not right now, but I felt the insurity with you. And people, I want you to know this is going to irritate you, but this is a secret. Don't tell anybody. A lot of times when I'm saying things and you think it's tongue-in-cheek, I'm doing it on purpose. I'm trying to rattle. Listen, I'm not going to date somebody or marry somebody that's not in love with me, that doesn't understand covenant. Darren and I fought like hell to get into covenant. It took us 10 years, and we beat the heck out of each other, right? And not physically. But just no one broke each other's heart as much as we broke each other's heart. We're very, very strong people. I remember a prophet coming in and saying, if you guys don't yield to God, this will never work. We're like, no, duh, dude, And all I said was, he needs to yield, It's like Jared said, it's the exchange. Who's going to yield first, But then when we got there and we're finally wilted and we're finally just allowing the Spirit of God, literally this is how we would do things. I remember us being like this, and it was hard. He had two sons he didn't know yet. That they both had mamas, right? So we had to walk through some stuff in the early years, and we both had all of our issues too. This is what we would do. We don't know what else to do. We're going to fast and pray. So we'd fast and pray. We would go without food and pray in the Spirit. God would give us keys. That's how we grew. We didn't know any way different, We would move into the Spirit is what I'm trying to tell you. Darren lived by the voice of God. And so once it got hard enough and we're hurting each other enough, when you get desperate, this was in our stubbornness, then you go to God. But then the crazy part is, you guys, is when we got there, God said, now that's what I want you to do with people. That's when I was like, what? But that's the kind of people God's going to connect with us. The people that are willing to come into that space and hear from them when it's being shaken and it's for life. I'm not talking about sitting in a building, okay? We don't have membership, okay? But as we're walking together, as we're pioneering these things in the Spirit, there is no separation. But that has to come into your heart. Or you're going to feel the separation when there is none. There's none. So God said, that's the level that I'm going to have you walk with people. Let's go throw this back up and get back to the Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 2:14. The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit. You guys know the word Spirit, the breath of God, the unseen force, the doesn't accept it. It cannot understand it. And it says it's not able. He's not able. That word right there is a word dunamis. You guys know what that word means? It means he has no power. It's impossible. He doesn't have the power. I plugged in my blow dryer in Ireland and fire started coming out of it. Like, psh, psh, psh. It was the wrong, they didn't match. It didn't fit. It's not going to fit. We're not going to get it that way. The reason I'm saying this is to get you in a place where you're getting a little bit vulnerable and you're like, do I see? Rather than saying, oh, I see. Do I see? I mean, listen, I'm the kind of person that the guy would say, there's somebody in here, you only have one arm, you're a man. And I'm going, God, is that me? Is it me? Seriously, that's how I'm just like, God, like that level of dependence for him to show you something, because you see people that love God and they have no clue. It's like they have no clue how much they're coming against what God's doing. It's Saul. With everything in him, he was doing what he felt like God was telling him to do. Why would he do it like that? Why would he live like that? I mean, you guys have heard my prayers. They're so powerful. It was the year I said, God, gut me like a pumpkin. Was it October? No, good, thanks. That one's gone. Gut me like a pumpkin. But that was just really me more positioning myself like, I'm not going to say I see. I'm going to come back to the Spirit and let you show me. And then, here's the kind of things that John Crowder was saying that are so wonderfully irritating. Now, remember, when I say irritating, it's usually good. I'll let you know when it's bad, just so you can track with me. What did he say? It's the wordless wonder, the imageless perceptions. You can't nail it down. You can't draw it out. You don't even know what you're drawing. The knowing unknowable. It's you guys, when you when you're walking from our spirit that's already in us, it's already there. When we're walking, that's our source. We're not afraid of the dark because we're completely lit. We are the light. And the dark, what the dark represents is the dark earth. It's a place of growth. It's like the wilderness. It's a place of planting so that the light can come forth. Let's look at John 3:8. So in it says that they have no power to understand. They can't perceive. They're not even aware. They can't come to know. And it's also the word for when Adam knew Eve. And they start having babies. It's me trying to plug in my blow dryer in Ireland. It's just not going to work. Okay, so John 3:8. The wind blows where it wishes. The Spirit blows where it wishes. Your spirit, God's Spirit. It blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. Leave it up there. Just digging a little deeper, I want you to get some more revelation in this for you. The wind, the Spirit, the breath, the breeze of God. You know, God reminded me this morning, you guys remember me saying this, God told me my word is my intention. My words. I was like, all right. At that time, I'm thinking exactly what he says he means. Like there's not, a flippant tongue-in-cheek or whatever. My words. But when he says his words, even whenever it says that he spoke and the worlds were created and things that began to create, and it's the utterance, it's the vibration. What is released out of me is exactly what I intended. That's what he's saying. Intention is my desire. It's what I wish. It's what's in me. You inform. It's exactly what I wished. It's what I intended to do. Right? So he looks at what he creates, and it's the wind. It goes where it wishes. The breath of God goes where God desires it to go. When it says you hear, you are so busted. Listen. I thought he was yelling amen because it was so powerful. He said, go, go, go! Listen, there's not a man in this pulpit. I care. If it was Darren, he'd be asking what the score is. I had ESPN playing for 33 years. I've never watched one thing. I've never finished one thing on it. I'm like, babe, I'm pretty sure those guys that are playing football are they're actors just changing their tights. It just looks the same. Yeah, I'm very irritating. So, here we go back to the things that aren't the constructs of this world. Just kidding. The wind blows. That word wind, let the wind blow. Let the breath of God flow. Where it blows, that the word blows means it's movement, it's breath, it's heart, it's sound, it's noise, the tone, the vibration. It's a Greek word, it's where we get the word phone, the dialect, the utterance, the frequency of God. Let it blow. Exactly where it wishes. It's coming to create. Its movement means creation. You hear its sound. The word hear is where we get the word acoustic. You got to tune into it. Some can hear it and some can't hear it. All that you're doing right now is listening to my voice, and some of you are hearing things, you're hearing it in the spirit. And some of you aren't. And you're hearing different things. It's according to what you were attuned into. The frequency. The word hear is to listen, to hear, acoustic. To know means, listen to this, I like this. The wind, the breath of God, it flows, it moves where it desires to move, and you hear the acoustics. You can feel the vibration, but you should not know where it comes from, or you do not know. That word know is you don't perceive where it comes from. You're not remembering where it comes from. Nathan spoke about origin. Listen, the more you make yourself familiar with the Spirit, the more you're going to remember. Not just where you come from, but where the voice comes from. So you're going to recognize the voice. He says that the sons of God, they recognize the voice of God. But that's developed. It was developed in Jesus, and it's developed in us. That word know, remember, to perceive, to behold, to see. It's not just to know, it's to see. I hear a sound. I feel a vibration. And it's what you just said earlier, Nathan. I left, and when I came back in, and I had already written this down, which is so cool, is when they said, didn't our hearts burn within us? Didn't we feel something different? Your mind's going crazy. He tells you to eat his flesh and drink his blood, but there's something else. There's something else resounding in you. And it's the word when you say, can't you see? Or don't you see? Meaning, don't you understand? Can you see behind the constructs? Can you see behind all the Greek and Latin and all the words and all the churches and all the doctrines? Can't you see by desire? That his desire, the breath of God, it blows and it goes exactly where it wishes. That we can be positioned where it's the Spirit and the bride saying the same thing. It's the gateway. The seeing, don't you know where it comes from or where it goes? So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. When it says here, it's the gateway or a bridge to explore spiritual truths from a physical, sensual reality. Where? What source? When it says where, you don't know what source, you don't know what place. I like this one. Ready? You don't know where it comes from or where it goes. Oh, where it goes. That word goes is hypoego. I don't know if that's correct, but under, to lead away. It means under another's authority. It's the picture in The Wizard of Oz. Or when you see something swept away by the wind, all of a sudden the wind is driving the sailboat. The sailboat is now under another authority. It's the wind. It's the Spirit. It's the breath. I don't know but who he is, but he's under another authority. It's the kingdom. It's unseen, and we're caught up by it. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Well, I've been born in the Spirit, so that's me. Conceived, begotten, the race, the monogene. creation. The creation of God is happening now. It never stopped. It's not on a linear scale, something that we're reading. You can know the historic Jesus. You can know that guy and love him. And, a lot of Muslims think he's really, is a great prophet as well. But you can know and see him now in the spirit. And here's the thing, and this is what I brought. I have all these bottles. I know it's nerdy, but I have all these bottles of Vicks in my bag because when we were doing the meditation, I was going to put Vicks on me and whoever wanted to do it. Because we've been really good, and I've said this before, we've been really good you don't have to listen to me. You're sitting up way too straight. You're not in trouble. I know, I'm sorry. I know, but he was just sitting like this, and it's fine. I know. What was I saying? I'm sure it was so powerful. Oh, the Vicks. So I'm doing that because we've been really great in the Western church of worshiping the God in the heavens and the vast God. Jared called him the God of Zeus, He said, I didn't think I still worshiped that guy, And then they're going through a hard time, and he's going, God, where are you? And then all of a sudden you realize you shifted from the reality of God within to the God, he called it the sky God. How many of you guys are still worshiping the sky God? Our mentalities, because our mentalities wants to build a construct. Here's heaven, here's earth, here's what we do to get there. Now listen, if you go back to the Old Testament, they thought from their carnal mind. All right, so if you're going back to those prayers, they were on heaven calling earth to come down. They were looking for portals somewhere outside their self. We walked in. I had some friends that I made there, and they walked me around the island, and I got 2 books given to me. I'm talking about a spiritual revolution. I'm not saying it's just people that are going through the door. Okay? It's happening all over because they're tired of what's going on in the world. They're looking for something more, and so they're coming up to a higher place. What I'm saying is, what God's showing me is, if you'll come up to that higher place, you can see the harvest that's there and let them come into the happy house, which is God's house. But we're going to speak their language. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have to know people by intention. You're going to have to know me by intention. You're going to have to know me by the Spirit. What we're building and what God's doing and what this house is, because you go into this space and they're doing all kinds of stuff. I had 2 books given to me by my dear friends. One guy is a druid. I was like, I'm not even sure what all that is, but he's just a little older guy and he's so cute. And they're very much like Native Americans when it comes to the spiritualism and the superstitions and all kinds of stuff. I got to go to a house that was built just for fairies and goblins and hobbits. I have really cool pictures, and they're legit. They're like serious. They're serious, right? And so I'm like, oh, I want to see a fairy, And I mean, the first sign said, "Don't piss off the fairies." I'm like, okay. I got to go in stealth, but you know what I mean? Like, don't want to be so serious, And it's all over in Ireland, There's a river there called Begley River, because Darren's family was from there. And then there's a graveyard there where the Begleys are. They took me to that. And there's a documentary of a father and son that I'm going to get, and they were Begleys, And so anyway, so I'm in this place, and I'm looking at the Hobbit's house. And it's not a tourist place. This is like a legit house that now the lady's been gone for a long time, and we had to break into the fence to go. It was fun. They gave me 2 books, and Nathan, it was just like the books of spiritual mapping with Christians, where we go to city, and we name the strongholds and what God wants to do, and God's done some beautiful things through that. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys weren't a part of churches like that or movements like that. But we would do spiritual mapping, and we were part of something that we had people, like before Darren and I moved to Oklahoma, we were something. What was the title? South Regional something. We were apostles all of a sudden just because we lived in that county. Because they were building this prayer network over. It was really good. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but all of a sudden when I'm there in Ireland, they're doing the same thing, but it's not in Jesus' name. They're going into the Spirit. They're showing this, but it's in love's name. I mean, I'm seeing so much love and beauty, and they're breaking curses, and it was pretty amazing. And then the other book was a lot like that as well. And these are the kind of people that, and it made me feel like whenever we drove across, when we were mapping out and praying across the nation, and this was before the Obama election the first time, so however many years ago that was, and we drove to California, LA. We had another, Tammy, I think, went to Washington, D.C. We were like going across the United States because I don't know what we were doing. We weren't following the wind, I don't think. But anyway, we had a good road trip, though. I went into Scientology. Is that right? It's really big in Hollywood. I went into a museum, and then I went into another thing, and I was so intrigued with how they do things. And then I just was like, oh, my gosh, it's exactly what we were doing, but they used the E-meter, and we used the Holy Spirit. So basically, and I know now we're a lot more open to different things, and, back then it was like if you got acupuncture, you got punctured by Satan. Everything back then was Satan, So I know that we're more open, but go back with me a little bit. So I did the E-meter, and basically what you do is you hold on to this, and I don't know if they still do it. Hopefully they've evolved or something. And you hold on to it, and it's going to bring you back to a memory, just like Splunk and things like that in your body. It'll bring you back to a memory where trauma came in, and then they'll help you heal. But I remember leaving there and going, okay, wait a minute. Because they weren't asking me to worship the devil or anything like that. It was like really to help you. And we're doing the same thing. I don't know, I just kind of started thinking that we've been building all kinds of constructs and methods in the church. And God met us right there. That's the goodness of God. But he's shaken those things. And some of the stuff that he's going to have you do hasn't been seen before. Hopefully it hasn't been seen before. I mean, how many other times do you think Jesus spit in the dirt and made mud? Listen, when I was overwhelmed with grief and going, God, what do we do? Look at all these children that are being trafficked. And I just don't I don't want to live the rest of my time here without Darren if I can't make a difference. I know that we're all about peace and all that, but I'm just not really wanting to live a whole life of peace just so I can be peaceful and let everybody else live in hell, So I'm like, God, what do I do? And he said, just become your truest self. He's basically saying, come up higher, my beloved. You can't do anything from that energy. If you are, it's like the little Dutch girl with her finger in the dam. You guys know that saying? And that's how I believe we've lived in the constructs that God showed us where we were at that point, but he's moving us into. Take your finger out of the dam and let it break. So in Genesis 3:8, it went from mankind hearing the sound. Let's look at that. We like that one, Genesis 3:8. And we're going to wind it up. And they heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. Please leave it up there. They heard the sound, the voice, the utterance, the vibration. They sensed that he was walking. The word walking really means coming, movement, attending, increasing. They could hear a sound, and they knew that it was coming closer. It was flowing. It was coming closer. The cool of the day means breath, wind, air, breeze, spirit. They would meet with him in the spirit. And they hid themselves. Flesh always wants to hide itself from the spirit. The ego man, the natural man, the man that's attached to the five senses, always. I'm not saying that it's evil. I'm not saying that the flesh is evil. I'm saying it's so foolish. The things of the spirit are so foolish, I want to hide from it. And this is what else I thought was interesting. I know we've had all different interpretations, but this is just interesting. They hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees. The word trees, when you look it up, way more times does it mean something like a carpenter, wood, framework, more than it means a living tree. It means a construct. I don't know, maybe it was like a cross. But they all of a sudden, the natural man wants to hide from the things of the spirit because it's foolish to him. So in Genesis 3, they went from communicating in the cool of the day, the breath of God, the wind of God. I mean, it wasn't words, you guys. He wasn't speaking English to them, but he was communicating, and they knew that they were the same, and there was a level of fellowship. And in the same chapter, after they hid theirself, he begins to speak to them. Throw up 3:19. So they hid theirself, and they decided to operate from a different space. And then he says, by the sweat of your face, you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return. So in one chapter, he's operating with them by the breath, by the being, by the essence of who they are. They hid from the essence of who they are. And they move to the lower self, the beast self, the natural self, the part that goes back into the dirt. And he says, you're going to eat the bread. In other words, your source is going to change. You're going to now be dependent on temporal things. Your belly's going to be hungry and full, and hungry and full. You're going to have to till the ground. You're going to have to work for it if you operate out of the sensual, natural man. I'm coming to you in spirit. You could feel my breath moving. It's where we fellowshiped before, and now you're hiding inside a false image of who you think you are. Who do you think you are? God wants to unveil the glory of who you are and you not hide from him. The sensual man, the religion, the constructs that got in our mind are trying to define you and keep you hidden. And keep speaking to your mind, or your mind speaking to you, that this is foolish. When it's the foolish things that's going to release you from the constructs in your mind. We were not created to eat and be hungry and eat and be hungry. He said, I have a well that if you drink of this, you're never going to be thirsty again. He's returning them back to the origin of spirit, the origin that everything that you ever wanted that will sustain you, I placed it inside of you. But if you hide in your flesh, if you hide in the constructs, isn't that weird that the word tree means gallows even? They used it as the word gallows. It's a construct. It's come out wherever you are. You're a spirit being. I was running on the treadmill about a month ago, and I saw this whole different thing. I've seen my spirit a couple times. I was just this beautiful beauty. It's amazing. But this time I could see the light. It was like my hand, I was able to retract out of the glove of my hand. I could see I could see the light being that's inside of me, and I began to massage and do different things on my organs. I'm running on the treadmill, and I'm laughing. What the hell am I? What is this? Glory beyond what you've ever imagined. And Jared mentioned this. He's like, but you got to come out of hiding from believing every thought that's attached to the sensual world. The carnal mind. What you remember of yourself, how you've defined yourself, how culture has defined you. Y'all think of it. Let's just think of it for a minute. I don't know how much you've read on this, but there were people all through history that they saw it different. And they were willing to see it different. And they gave their life because they saw it different. And they went upstream when everybody else was going downstream. I want to be that. You know what I mean? I don't want to have I don't like when I say this, because then I start hearing people's disagreement. God's like, all right, I'm going to condition you, so it's a good thing, though. But I don't want to have an amen from people, even this person. The yielding to the wind that Jesus finally moved into when he was 30 years old. He finally hit a point that he was fully yielded, that this is my son. This is who I'm pleased in. He's fully living from the source. He didn't need the bread of the earth anymore. The source, the wind became his source. And now, in Hebrews, he said, now that he was fully yielded, he became the perfect door, basically, for salvation for all of us. The presence that's within us. In one chapter, they went from communicating with the utterance and the vibration and the spirit to, you're going to return to the dust. You need to eat some food, and it's going to be hard. In Noah's day, it says in Luke 17, you don't have to turn there, but in Luke 17:27, it talks about in Noah's day, Lot's day, and when the coming of the Son of Man, it says they were eating, drinking. You guys have heard me say that, marrying and giving in marriage. I'm like, well, what's wrong with that, God? Judgment came on them, They were eating, drinking, and giving in marriage, They weren't doing anything bad, but they were so caught up in the construct. They were so caught up in the natural. They were so caught up in their bellies. It even talks about your belly being a god, It doesn't mean that you can't eat. It doesn't mean that God's upset that you can't eat. He's just telling you that there's a whole nother source altogether. that will sustain your life. And that as you plug into it, you can operate and see from the realm that's already within you. So the Vicks, I don't know if I got to that. I'm putting the Vicks on me just to remind me when I begin to worship that it's the God within, to shift my mind. And I'm trying to get real technical on it with you guys because once you understand it's the God within you, that it's already there, you're already whole, and you begin to worship and sing these songs, because what happens as soon as we go into worship, it's the sky God. Because we've been trained in the distance. That's why I've even pulled in some things with people that are coming out of the East, because they understand the divinity within on a different level. When the Western church kept us, I'm not blaming the church separate from me. My mindset that was Western kept me small and God big, and I need your help. So I'm putting Vicks on me when I begin to worship, and 2 different times I've felt the breeze of God in the cells of my body. If we're really just 0.1% that what you can see, but 0.99.99 or whatever percent, 99.99999% of you is unseen energy, which is science, then we are fluid. But we've lived thinking that we're not. So our experiences have been temporal. We get hungry and full, dissatisfied and satisfied. We need another touch. We need another prayer. We need another breakthrough. It's not that God's not into miracles anymore. He does miracles. That's what he does. But he met them where they were. All the miracles that he did, because they had to see him and feel him and taste him and touch him. But he said the mysteries belong to the sons. Like, come up here. These are the ones that it's not. You don't have to have evidence. I heard God say this, and I'm almost done. He said, I'm hiding the evidence from you. This is like a game of Clue. It's the mystery. Christ in you. He's hiding the evidence. He doesn't want to confirm it again. It's to mature you. It's not to hurt you. You can trust his eyes. And he's bringing up the areas where you thought that you heard God, or you thought you could trust him, and where you felt disappointed. He's bringing up those areas because they began to govern in your life, and they were never meant to be part of the governing. That's the tyranny. So we're letting him bring up these areas so we can go in and see what the truth is, so that we can govern again with him. Can you imagine he just said, follow me? It wasn't just that. They felt it. And then the other guy said, he said, I want to follow you. And he goes, you don't understand. Foxes have holes. I don't even have somewhere to lay my head. What did you know whenever he said that? That word head, it means cornerstone, chief. He's like, there's nowhere in these constructs that I can even be king. He was saying, you don't understand. You're asking to follow me because you see what I'm doing? I'm not going to set up my kingdom here like you suppose. I didn't come to rule and be king of the Jews. I came to bring a kingdom that's unseen. He said, I want to follow you. Well, sure you do. You want some fishes in the loaves. You want your belly full. We're disappointed because the miracle didn't happen. This is why it's such an honor that we're in this house, you guys. I know it hurts, these people that have passed that we love. But what can God do with us when we can transcend our emotions in this temporal world? How deep can we go in his love? What can we offer the nations? To live in a reality that's not the reality that we see here. It's beyond the horizon of your mind. It's beyond any construct that man has built. So as I'm walking, I got on, I couldn't find the right bus, and I have this huge suitcase, and I'm talking to this bus driver. All of a sudden, I realize I'm alone, you know. Darren, the little stalker, used to always know where I was, and now I'm alone, you know. But I enjoy the fear. Hear me. I want it to come up. I want to sit with it. It's part of my humanity. It's part of what I've learned here. The part of me that enjoys it is the God part. I want to be there if Joni's she's afraid and has a bad dream. I want to be there and scoop her up so she knows that it's not real. That in the darkness, there's only God. So I literally want to go alone so that poor Laura, I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to talk to anybody, but all of a sudden I realized that I missed my bus, and this guy kept telling people, I'm just a temporary bus. I don't know why you're parked in the middle of the city and you're a temporary bus. So then he says he'll take me there. So I'm in this huge bus, and he's taking me there. And all of a sudden it hits me like, nobody knows where I am on a huge bus, you know what I mean? I always go to, listen, I'm not a virgin and I'm not young. You're like, I'm worth nothing, Sorry. I used to tell my daughters, you guys have all watched Taken, I said, listen, do not run like a virgin. That girl, if you guys watched the movie Taken, she was like, I was like, girls, you walk like hoes if you're out there. I don't want to be taken, you know what I mean? This is just the wisdom advice of a mother. I literally would tell him that. The girl had like what do you call those jewels on her jean jacket? I'm like, girl, you look like you're 14. Like, what are you doing traveling when you're skipping in the airport? Yeah, don't wear a bedazzled jacket if you're traveling alone. All right, sorry. So all of a sudden it hits me that I'm alone, and I'm kind of excited that I could feel this fear so I could sit with it. Because, I'm almost done. Fear is a construct of our mind. It's the government of our mind. It's the carnal mind that even created it. It didn't even exist, okay? And so if it's a construct here, what we were learning there is you can breathe in. I'm probably doing it from a different space than even what these guys were doing it, but I understand the breath of God, the Spirit of God, and so we're doing these breathing exercises where you breathe in, and I'm seeing the constructs in my mind, and I push it out like this, like, and literally you can calm your body down with breath as well, but I'm picturing the fear, the lies, the threats, and bringing them into the spacious place of spirit. We did this meditation the first day of the 3-day. And then you begin to see it just dissipate. And so all the way through, there were several things that happened. There were some pretty raunchy things that happened with different people that God had me see. And through it, it was just learning to sit in this space and going, this is kind of exciting. I feel really like there were some legit things to be afraid of. And then breathing into the spacious place where there's only trust and there's only God. It's government, y'all. It's government. It's government. It's governing your life. You want to say something? Did you say? And then I think Eddie wanted to say something. And then let's just, for the suspenders.
Thank you.
And let's just also clap for everyone that didn't watch the game.
Yeah, thank you, Omar. So for just a second, just close your eyes and just take one deep breath in. I love what Sheila was talking about. This whole weekend has just been incredible. Even something that hit me this morning was with the scripture about the Spirit. You don't know which way that it comes, that it goes, and God's allowed the elements to teach us so much. You don't know where the fire comes or where it goes. It just consumes everything that's thrown in it, and if it's not hot enough, you can turn it up and it will burn it out, like the love of God will. Or like the ocean. I don't understand how the currents move the water, but I'm okay with that, with sitting in the water and being one with it. Or like the wind as it picks you up and takes you from here to there. This morning, what I saw while we were worshiping was I began to see people, angels, start to come around and lay their hands on people. I saw Darren. I saw your boy. saw Belinda. And I saw them going around the room and putting their hands on everybody's back as if to pray for them. And some of the theme of the songs this morning was calling in sons and daughters. And so as I saw this and I saw them become and pray for us, it was this flip where the natural part of us that's praying for some sons and daughters to come back, the sons and daughters are coming in the spirit, the part of them that's already not disconnected from God, from us, from love. And they're literally praying. Their spirit is coming to us and telling us to pray and teaching us to pray for them so that we can get the flesh suits in this parameter and we can bring them in and that they can start to experience the true identity of who they are, but their spirit knows already in that. And I felt, see, I wrote some of this down. I just felt the realms are coming together as sons and daughters are coming to us. It was not just those that have gone before. It was those that are gone ahead. It was those that are coming. It was those that are running, even those that are backslidden, if you want to call it that, or those that we would call lost and not saved. Their spirits were here. Their spirits came to receive. Their spirits came to impart because they're not separate. They're a part of it all. And they want us to be aware. They want us to be aware even as we go out from this weekend and we've taken such incredible things. I was like, God, can I just release this at the beginning of worship? And he's like, no, I want you to wait to the end because I'm searing something. The steak's been cooking for a while. It's been a year. It's been a year and things have been cooking. And he's searing something in us, and it's opening realms. It's opening possibilities and things that we have not even begun to understand. We didn't even know how to ask or imagine. So they're coming from the other realm to teach us how to ask, how to imagine. And so just want to bless that over this room. And I want to thank every single one of you because y'all, us, are attracting the atmosphere of the angels. The atmosphere of the beloved sons and daughters, those that have come, those that are coming, those that have gone. They're coming to us. They're here. They are us. The cloud is in our midst. Can you see it? Can you see it? Will you be willing to? So God, I thank you. You're a wonderful working God. God, I just want us to get lost in you every chance, every single time that we get the opportunity, that we can fall deeper and deeper and deeper into the formless abyss of where you dwell, and that we can begin to pick up, to receive, to impart to this world every promise that you have put over us, that you've set before us, that you have guided our steps in, and that we will not miss the mark any longer. We will not be afraid of what we hear, and we will not be afraid of what we don't understand. Because we are a people that know the identity of our God. And he's so much bigger than words. He's so much bigger than behavior. He's so much bigger than what we used to think was right and wrong. Goodness, God. We release your goodness over the planet today. Father, we step in the identity of sons and daughters, being the stewards of heaven and releasing it on the planet so that all will begin to understand and know who you are, God, and that all will begin to make the influence that they were intended for. The footprint of God on the planet is always seen in the footprint of man. Honor you. I bless your name. Amen.
Amen. Eddie, you want when we end, we'll watch that clip. Whoever wants to watch it. After Eddie? Come on up.
He was talking to me this morning when I came in, and he said, I know you saw some things, but you didn't say it. And I said, yeah, I saw it. And I said, I don't want to steal the moment from other people. And sure enough, a lot of people said a lot of the things I was thinking and seeing. And one of the most interesting things that I saw last night and over the weekend was the fact that last night I saw God's house with everybody in every nation that watches us, all the people that came for the 3-day event. And we came together, and I saw the light. It was just like a bright light, just transformed. And I know Peter came and said some very special things. It was a very special moment. And, all the people, Don, we've had incredible speakers all weekend. So the Lord said, it's time. And I said, okay, give me some push, Lord, confirm this. And then he says when I walk up the door, I'll help you next time say it. So I wanted him up here because the reason I'm up here now is he encouraged me. Because I don't want to get the spotlight. I want to give God all the glory. He deserves it, and I'm very appreciative. But I asked him, I said, I want to know for sure that what I saw was supernatural. So Kelly comes up to me just a few minutes ago, because nothing really special, supernatural has happened, right? And she says, do you see this gold speck in my hand? And I looked, and it was. The last time I saw that was when we were in Florida, and we had gold specks up here in our hands. And then I said, that's pretty good, God. That's supernatural to me. I looked in my hand, and I started seeing a couple of them in my hand. So I went and showed her outside. I said, are you seeing what I'm seeing, or am I just imagining that she saw it too? So with that, I'm going to first do something that's going to bring us a lot of joy, and then we're going to go into what God showed me. There's a very special person, Nay, who's having a birthday today. So I would like to sing happy birthday to Nay, and then we're going to go into the vision. So, Nay, would you stand? We're going to honor you today. All right. So if you all will join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nay. Happy birthday to you, and many more. Woo! Now that we got the joy in, and Blake, you did a great intro. I want all of you right now to take a couple of more breaths. I want you to see yourself in the kingdom. This is one thing God showed me I can do well. I want us to see each of ourselves in the kingdom with each other, with the Lord. Visualize that right now. And I'm going to read something to you, and then I'm going to release the vision. This is Romans 8:1, 14 through 17, the Passion Translation. The mature children of God are those who are moved by the impulses of the Holy Spirit. And you did not receive the spirit of religious duty, leading you back into the fear of never being good enough. But you have received the spirit of full acceptance, enfolding you into the family of God. And you will never feel orphaned, for as he rises up within us, our spirits join him in saying the words of tender affection, beloved Father, beloved Abba. For the Holy Spirit makes God's fatherhood real to us as he whispers into our innermost being, you are God's beloved children. So now, with you in the kingdom, we all come together, and I make a declaration that God's house and all those that have joined us throughout the years and all the people that have led us into today, that we have achieved in the kingdom the culmination of being the true children, fully spirit, fully human, capable of miracles, capable of manifestations, whether it be gold flakes or whether it be healing, whatever that is. I declare that, and I want to honor Sheila for taking the boldness to step forward, even at a time, which I know very well is a very difficult time to make a decision to move forward. But she did make that decision. And so right now in the kingdom, I declare this, I decree it with the sovereignty we have as the children of God, that from this day forth, you are living supernatural lives. You are able to see miracles. You are able to manifest those things that the world, the universe has been crying out for. And that with that, we now have the first fruits operating in full vision for all of humanity to know that around the world we have brothers, we have sisters, we have children of God that are joining us. And I know the kingdom, I know Darren and all those that have transitioned are here with us. Mm-hmm. So we're not alone. We're coming together, and I want to just say, Sheila, you've done an incredible job.
Thank you.
And stepping in the feet of Darren's was big shoes.
Yeah.
And for you to have taken that challenge was just an incredible act of love. So, and on behalf of all of us, if you'd stand, I'd like to honor Sheila and Darren, who is here with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Come on. Nah. You sure? Okay. Well, thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak real quick?
I just want to thank everyone for turning my mic off while I was singing Happy Birthday. Okay.
It's kind of crazy how this all, circles together. I had this conversation with Darren years ago because I was listening to a little bit of Damon Thompson, and he brought this up. It's funny, ever since, Sheila had started speaking, full time, it's been a lot on the mind and retraining the mind and, metanoia, repentance, all those things. And years ago, I was listening to Damon, and he was talking about the imagination. When we have encounters, we see them in the imagination. So if you think about the word and how it's spelled, there are 3 words inside of imagination, and it's image-a-nation. Imagination. Imagination. What would a nation look like if it was seen as what it already is, the kingdom? But more importantly, who is the nation? That's you. You are the nation. And then it all makes sense when Darren was talking about the 4 horsemen riding through the lands. We're the field that he bought. He bought the whole field so that he could ride through our nation. And more than just like a country that's already been established, riding through the nations to show us who we always were. But now, more importantly, because I got thinking about this and I was like, well, imagination isn't spelled with an A in the middle, it's spelled with an I. And God said, look at it as a Roman numeral. What does an I represent? 1. Image, 1 nation. Because we're all one. We're the ones who put the borders up.
Yep.
It's all one nation in God, as God.
That's great. That's a word for us and everyone that's hearing out there. And people that have written us, you guys that have written us that are our family, that we haven't seen your faces yet. We love when you message us. It's all cultures, you guys. And what we've done, in not just the American church, but the Western churches, they would go in and that's what we did to the natives here. We would set up the kingdom that our construct of who God was, who we thought God was, rather than allowing them to be fully who they are with the God within. And, our dream, what we're going to do, the revolution, is to release our first walk in the full freedom of the constructs ourselves and not be foolish and say that we're free when we're not call fear love, let God not walk in deception, not say we can see when we can't see, but position in our heart where God shows us where we're operating, and then coming up higher, my beloved. And then number 2 is to release those that are across the world that are listening to fully be who you are. And one of our friends from Poland, he very much, he wasn't talking like this, like Christian stuff at all, but he's spiritual stuff. And my other friend from Sri Lanka that was there, he said, you don't understand, they don't have this. And the Polish friend, his name was Maciek, he said, we don't have community. Like they don't, he lives in Warsaw. You know what I mean? And they don't have churches like this. We have churches there's 3 churches in this place, in this thing. Like, we're so rich, you know? And so just to be willing to allow God to show you what's in you is kudos to you, and not remain comfortable in the world that we're in. Let the shaking happen, you know? And so the last thing as we go, we'll show this clip. You can stay and watch it. You can go. You can do whatever. I'm sure that oh, he's already left. Whenever, so I'm getting up. Yeah, we'll get him later. When I'm getting up, getting ready, and I'm talking to Teresa about what I didn't like or what I was feeling or whatever after the first day of the wake, and that was the conversations Darren and I would have. We'd bounce it off each other, what we felt, where we could feel God flowing, where we feel like it you know. And I'm talking to Teresa, and she's just like listening. Well, Josie's in the other room, and Josie sends me a text. It just tells me how proud she is of me, you know. But she says, I feel like it's when Mel Gibson, if you guys haven't watched The Patriot, he didn't want his wife to die. He didn't want his son to die. He didn't want to be part of the war. And she said, I feel like you're him in this movie. But then it ended up on his front door. And so he joined the war. And I know God said he was showing me the well that Darren established here, and it's our well. It's God's well. And he's like, it's still here. It's within us. And we can choose to continue in this revolution. And anyway, so we'll watch this scene, and we'll dismiss you guys. And I think you're incredible. How old are you? That's what I thought. 50. And I guess if we title this message, Xavier, it's just don't run like a virgin. I don't know. Let's watch this and we'll go. Yeah. That's so good.
It ends today.